everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the Lifeboat. What's happening? Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. There's a lot of you in here, man. It would really help out the cause. So, haven't done Nancy in a minute, and I'm looking forward to talking about this today. Somebody left a comment earlier that said they got yelled at in Nancy Grace's comment section for saying that that Nancy Guthrie might be dead. That's classless, if you want my opinion. Look, if you're into true crime, then we talk about true crime, right? And if not, I get it. Move on. However, it's disingenuous at this point to say that anyone that believes that she may have passed away is being it's somehow less than a good person. It doesn't make any sense. Aspire to inspire. Good to see you, Louisa, South American friend. How are you? Ann Bauman. Good to see you, Relatable Reese. That would be her right there. And I'll tell you what, if half of you don't get over there and hit the smack that subscribe button on my wife's channel, I'm just going to end this thing in about 15 minutes. The Punisher, good to see you. How are you, Pebble? I'm glad you're here, Pebbles. DS Kitty Diane, glad you're here. My eyes aren't going to make that happen, so we'll just put that up there. Hi, how are you? Heather in the library, good to see you. Charlotte, how are you, Charlotte? Glad you're here. Lisa Palmer, good to see you. Hey, West Coast Fancy Nancy, it's always an honor. Edward, glad that you are here. Let's do a little news before we get rolling. Anybody watch that Corey Richins trial? Hate to say I told you that was a sitter, but she was found guilty, and she's going to be looking at a really, really long sentence. And you know something? Every once in a while, justice is served. Corey Richins is an absolute lowlife who killed her husband because it just wasn't easy enough to divorce him, right? She wanted all of that and a nice insurance payout. Just divorce the person. Did you see that JLR went to the Mexican restaurant and spoke to the chef to ask about the FBI interviewing employees? And the chef said the FBI has never been there. Wow. Well, the FBI has never spoken to the chef. I assure you the FBI has been there. However, sometimes if you grab the right person, the chef stands in the back of the kitchen, right? The odds that the chef was going to be there when some people were interviewed is probably a stretch, but I assure you they've been there. Just finishing listening to Survivor on Guthrie. Well, so been on that channel multiple times. I have a lot of love for the people over there. And somebody left a comment, actually two of you left a comment and said, when are you going back on there? I'm not doing other people's shows anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to clean up my speech. Pete Taylor, how are you? I'm glad that you're here. Edward, good to see you. Natalie Brown, how are you? I say words that people don't want me to say. From my paisan in Montreal, I'm glad that you're here. Royce, Iceland, Krista Melinda, thank you for being here and for modding. Thank you to all of the mods. I appreciate the hard work. Iceland has nothing on the Nancy case. Tired of holding the fridge door open. Here's the thing on this. So a lot of people are concerned that, well, thank you, Reese. I don't feel hot. I haven't eaten in 4 days. I'm starting to feel a little bit, I feel like my stomach and my backbone may be touching each other. Interview room panel is sure this will be solved. So am I. And I'll tell you something else right now. I think we're getting closer. What do you think of that? Life without parole. Can't say Corey doesn't deserve it. Yeah, you're right. She absolutely deserves it. And over my left shoulder, Squirrel Nut Zipper. Squirrel, say hello. What a good kitty. She's learned to park it back there because she knows that it makes me nervous that she's going to jump on my back. Buffy, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Hi, everyone from the UK, where it's late and I was just sleeping. Allegedly, you were just sleeping. 40th plus day going unresolved and confused. Yeah, I don't know. So here's the deal on this. It takes a long time to run everything through the DNA. Why do you think we're getting closer to solving the case? Well, that's the perfect question, isn't it? And I'll tell you why. Because we're hearing a lot less stupidity out of the police department, right? We have Nanos who's still going out there and doing his media tour because, well, damn, he's arrogant. But we're not getting all of the leaks that we used to get. We're not getting the stupid stuff that is being put out to the world like, this is the backpack we're looking for. This is the device we're going to use to go after her heart. We think that this gun might have been purchased this place. We think that this holster might be from Walmart. So we're sending people out to all of these, gun stores. They've been telegraphing things to the suspects for a long time, and they're not doing it anymore. And that's usually a good sign. If you've followed true crime for any length of time, when the news starts to dry up, very often it's because they're onto something. And the stuff that he does leak out by accident, he has said that they know the motive, right? He has said they know the motive, which is ironic because in the same sentence he said, and that hasn't really changed since the first few days of this investigation. In the first few days of this investigation, he said he didn't know the motive. In the first few days of this investigation, he said that nobody should be worried about anything going on, that this is a very targeted attack. He doesn't feel that these are people that could be out there in some way threatening the rest of the Catalina foothills. Although in his last interview, he said, no, you should definitely take precautions. The Catalina foothills, absolutely, you should be worried. These people could absolutely attack again. They are also looking for different dates now. They're looking for a date. According to what's happening, they're looking for dates that are 7 days away from the day that she was abducted. There's a reason they're asking people to pull those particular days from their cameras, right? That's an issue. Thank you for keeping it real over here. It's needed during this war on legacy and independent media alike. I'm going to touch on that in a moment. Thank you, Heather in the library. I appreciate you keeping free speech alive. And I got news for you. There's a war on this kind of content. If you ever watch Popcorn Planet, he did a show on it today. Maybe someday when I grow up, I'll be like Popcorn Planet. In the interim, I'm not saying pew, pew. I'm not saying any of that. But in fact, I'm never gonna. Let's keep it real. I can't do it. It would make me feel sick. He does. He's very concerned about the views and all that. And he should. He makes a lot of money. He's a beast. But they are trying to eliminate what we do. Why? Because short form content gets people paid. They pay a lot less money to the people that do it. And they don't have to worry about short form content doing what I'm doing, which is calling them out for being a terrible platform that is trying to keep us from speaking the English language. The Queen's English. Sorry? You're the reason. I am the reason that they're trying to shut this down. And on retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffendorfer is convinced that a recent arrest of 2 teenagers in Arizona could be connected to the case of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. She's referring to, unless there's something that I am completely out of the loop on, she is referring to 2 people from California that were hired online separately, put together as a team, and sent to Arizona for the purpose of trying to rob a rich person for a crap load of cryptocurrency. Now, in that particular case, people report on this again and again and again and again that this happened right before the Nancy Guthrie abduction. It did not. I assure you, it did not. It happened after the Nancy Guthrie abduction. And I believe, and it's just my opinion, people, that's all I do here. But in my opinion, this is a copycat kind of a thing. They looked at what happened and thought, not a bad idea. What if we hired a couple of monkeys, like some stupid kids from California, and got them to go down there and do our work for us? AI has muddied the water, difficult to know what is real or fake. This is a great comment. Jen Coffendorfer is spacey. Yeah, I'm not a Coffendorfer fan. And I don't mean, I'm sure she's a great person. I don't like her take on most of this. I really don't. I'm blown away by a lot of the takes on this. The problem is this. Today, I probably got 25 or 30 emails from people that said, hey, they just broke this case, and sent me a link to to one of these AI channels that says that, now they know exactly what's going on. The AI is going to crank out on this because the number of people who are out there still reporting on this is slowing down big time. Brian Enton went home for the weekend, and I predicted that this would start to happen, right? He's going to go home and take care of some stuff, and then he'll fly back out. But this is going to die off. It's going to, because the true crime community is going to be looking for the next thing, because we like to speculate and we don't have enough information to speculate on this case. It's one of the reasons that we're seeing people come up with some of the most wild ass theories that you've ever heard in your life. And since we don't have a full cast of characters, we continue. JLR left today, another great example. But we're seeing this recycled, the same stuff over and over again. For instance, I'm not trying to bum anybody's high, but I'm going to be absolutely blown out of the water, right? Neckbeard hired the sheriff, but they did not pay the deputy. He hired the sheriff. It's interesting how badly Nanos is screwing this up and making people believe that he's in on it. And a lot of people are believing that, which is sad to be sure. Sorry, I'm missing some people. What do I think caused the pacemaker spike? I think them going through the door caused the pacemaker spike. And if you believe that for the timeline, then it shrinks the amount of time that they were inside. Like they think something happened with that, and they've got this in there at what, 41 minutes or something like that. I think it's less than that. I don't think that's accurate. And I think that we've taken that timeline and etched it in stone, and nothing that Nanos has said has been correct. Everything he has said, he has backed off on. Allegedly meeting 9 a.m. tomorrow with supervisors regarding resume errors. Well, let's hope so. But I think the pacemaker spike was caused when that door went in. I think when they went in on her, that was the pacemaker spike. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Somebody help, my Cash App is not working. I don't understand. It's not because of money. There's money in there. That is odd. Not exactly sure how that works. I do understand it when not used to the weather. It's dangerous even when used to it. I'm not sure what that one was. You're probably talking to somebody else. We're going to see the media fall off on this. And when we do, we're all looking, right? We go on every day and we type in Nancy Guthrie updates, Nancy Guthrie case. Now, instead of getting JLR, instead of getting Brian Enton, instead of getting all of the people that were covering this around the clock, right? Now what you've got instead is BS. You have BS channels, and some of them are so damn good that they're showing you people from the news that you grew up with, but they're not people. Watch the mouth, right? Carefully. Look for any kind of discrepancy. When they say things like the person, hey, Chef Brian, good to see you. When they say things like, thank you. That's a kind thing to say. There are a lot of fools out there. The people that do it live, I have respect for most of them, to be really honest with you. Most of the people that are covering this live, even if we don't agree, I like what they do. I like how they do it. And true crime, you're not always going to agree. That doesn't make someone stupid. But now we even have big time people that are saying, is this just to cover up what's really going on in the news? If you did just a tiny amount of research, right? A tiny amount of research on how much coverage this is getting compared to everything else in the news, you would be shocked, right, at how little coverage this is getting, especially now. Interview Room Guy predicts a grand jury indictment coming soon. I tend to believe this. I really do. When they say things like, I've had a theory on this from the beginning. This is Nano speaking. I've had a theory on this from the beginning and it hasn't changed. That sounds like he's getting ready to spike a football. TMZ said it's over. Well, TMZ is TMZ, right? Watched what I missed from last night's Oscar scream. Agree about Dan Schneider and Brian Peck should have gotten way worse. Quiet on set broke me. I grew up watching Nickelodeon. A lot of people were really upset by that. Just emailed you a YouTube link. It's not AI and it's interesting. I will look at it. Thank you, thought criminal. Manipulated the cell phone to pacemaker. Probably had 2 phones. She was kidnapped at the dinner table. Okay, I'll tell you why that didn't happen, right? Everybody pay attention to this. This is why that didn't happen. People can say the blood on the front steps of the house was planted. If you planted blood, it's very difficult to plant someone's blood that also has aspiration in it, like aerated, oxygenated saliva going out with the blood, like a sneeze or a cough. That's number one. Number two, her watch was in the house. So that's the base, right? So normally someone would have this as the base. If this isn't the base and you have a watch or you have a phone, either way, this is the base, not the pacemaker. So the pacemaker connects to this, and then this connects to the Wi-Fi. They know whose Wi-Fi it was connected to when it disconnected. Do you understand what I'm saying? The base stayed connected to the Wi-Fi, and it was to that Wi-Fi. So when her heart separates from that Wi-Fi, they know where she was, and it was in that house. My original opinion on this was that she got whacked outside the house, but I don't believe that anymore, because according to everyone that I've talked to, that pacemaker would have told you that it was not at Nancy's house. It would have been hooked up to the Wi-Fi at Annie's house or wherever else this happened. However, heard an interesting thing today that allegedly, did you ever notice that they interviewed the person that took Nancy to the game night so she could go play Mahjong at her son and daughter-in-law's house? That Uber is recorded. Did you catch that? There is a camera inside there. It has audio and it has video, and they have it. So whatever conversation that she had with the Uber driver on the way over to the house, they have. But we've never heard a word about it. Not one leak. They didn't even like to mention that they have it. That makes me wonder what she was talking about. Picture this for a second. Not saying it happened, but picture this for a second. What if she gets in the car and goes, "Oh, I'm going over to my daughter and son-in-law's house, and they're asking about money again, and this has been going on." We do tend to talk to people that we shouldn't, because if you're, hey, you going over to have fun tonight? No, I'm not. I'm on my way to the airport. It sucks. I'm late. I'm trying to get this done. We tend to talk to Uber drivers almost like they're therapists. I do. I know a lot of other people that do. It would be very interesting to hear what is on that. Why, with all of the stupid shit that got leaked, did we never hear about that? They do have that. This has been leaked, that they have that. Absolutely, they have it. Not want to hear it. This today, people were talking about this today, and they were people that allegedly have a decent tie-in to the FBI. They say they brought this person in, they interrogated this person gave DNA. This person also said, right, that I'm an Uber driver and conversations get personal. Yeah, that's my experience too. But they have claimed that when the Uber driver came in and cooperated, that they gave up the video. Would you have let your mom take an Uber instead of driving her if you lived that close? No, I wouldn't. But I also wouldn't let my mother live alone. There's a lot of things that I would not have allowed to for that to happen. It's one of those. It's one of those situations that is personal with everybody. Danique Moss, glad that you're here. Hey, Grace Matthews. A lot of new computerized cars have high-power computers that have black boxes similar to airplanes. I have seen a segment. A lot of these ping off cell phone towers, records, any records or dry runs. Absolutely, this happens. But if you could get the black box, then it gets very, very easy. This is why the Luke car, taking Luke's car, they weren't trying to go through that car nearly as much as they were to try to see where that car went. The other option is that you have to figure out to go through. I think AT&T is the big supplier for most of the companies that are doing things like. I'll tell you what, Capture Dandy. I promise you, I will give that to you tomorrow. Here's what happens, people. I got 4 screens going, right, and doing all of this. Tomorrow, I will give you exactly where that came from. They were in the house for 40 minutes. She could have passed then, and they took her out. If she passed, the blood on the front steps wouldn't be aspirated. The blood splatter experts are saying that that was definitely blood that was aspirated. So it either came out of a nose where they were like a sneeze or and a cough. The blood splatter experts are saying that did not come from a tear in the skin. It came from either nose or mouth. And that doesn't happen if you're dead. You can leak out of it, right? The other thing is that if she passed then, the pacemaker linking to the watch would have said, at this time, it wouldn't say she's dead, but it would say, we're trying to snap back into rhythm. And it'll keep doing this till the battery dies. That's not on that base. You follow me? So when she left that house, unless they're just stone cold bullshitting us, when she left that house, the pacemaker was still acting normal, which means her heart was still beating. You follow? Now, could they be lying to us? Yeah. But if you said she was dead, we don't need to do this where is she thing with the FBI. We could just be looking for the people that took her. I don't see a benefit in any way to no, they have not found her body yet, Buffy. I don't see any benefit to trying to fake that. But even today, like Nancy Grace, they've got people on there having this theory about how this is a robbery that went bad. They were looking for something specific inside. When they didn't find that, they left, right? And they took her with them. That, to me, is literally the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life. Was there a 911 call about a break-in at Annie's last night? I read that somewhere, but I have not been able to chase that down and prove it. It could be AI. But they seem to have one car, and he was at band practice. That's a possibility. That's a possibility that they simply could not go and pick her up. They also said that she does this pretty often because she does not like to drive at night. My mother does not either. Nancy's house was big enough. Why didn't Annie move in there? Well, she, moving into a house and bringing your kids and all of that with it. Thanks, Capture. I promise you I'll get it for you. But that was literally right before I went live. Hey, G-Man, good to see you, man. It's also super weird that they have only released the 911 dispatch side of the call and not the person making the call. That is odd. That is odd. Yeah, I said cough as soon as I seen it. Not a good look. It is not. It's sad to think that she was on the way out there and literally struggling, agonal breathing. I'm not smart enough to say that, Tracy Pratt. I don't know if it was that bad off. It may have just been a case of she took a shot to the nose and on the way out there was, coughing and sneezing through it. Hey, Tommy, just a thought. 40 minutes could have ordered pizza, 30 minutes or less delivered. The driver run late, so they stuck around for free pizza. A possibility. A distinct possibility. If they had the correct magnet, it would disconnect the base as it is not active anymore. Yeah, I think that's probably a stretch. What makes me feel the worst is that I truly believe she knew her abductors despite the disguises. No matter how you shake it, this is going to be an absolute nightmare, right? For everything that's happening, an absolute nightmare for the victim inside. Nothing could be worse. They had an Uber for a reason, alibi. Who told us the pacemaker story? Remember, crooked sheriff is involved. You can't convince me he's involved. You can convince me he's stupid, but you can't convince me he's involved. And once the FBI showed up, if he had lied about the pacemaker and all that, the FBI is going to look at that base. They're going to look at the watch and all of those things. I think he's inept. I think he's arrogant, and I think that he's paranoid that the FBI is there and going to make him look like an idiot. But I don't think he's in on it. I can't find a motive. How much money do you got to pay a sheriff, right? Or how much blackmail leverage do you have to have over a sheriff for him to get involved in kidnapping an 84-year-old woman? Nancy's meds were to be taken at 10. Meds on the counter next day. Her house was not empty when she got there. If her house was not empty when she got there, then the 40 minutes really, really looks ridiculous, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? If by some chance they were already inside, what could possibly take 40 minutes? She comes in through the garage, you got her, right? Now you could be waiting for something, waiting for your getaway driver, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to have to wait on my getaway driver. I certainly want to be able to contact him. You know what? You can hate the FBI. They're damn good at what they do. I don't care whether it's the right or the left who's in office. Take this from a guy that's been hunted by the FBI. They are merciless, and they are never going to go. It's a nasty plot. Make no mistake. Hold on one second. If you guys put C's, or if you have a question, put a bunch of Q's. And if you have a comment, leave a bunch of C's. It makes it easier for me to find when it's really cooking. I think they set her up and told her what was going on and why. Sat her up and told her what was going on and why. Well, they did that without taking her hearing aids. And from what I understand, she was almost deaf without them. It's amazing that the hearing aids were left behind. This would also cause far more terror. It's horrifying to think of what that moment of abduction must have been like. I almost wonder if Annie or Tommaso owe somebody money, because how ballsy would it be for someone to show up and try to get in last night knowing all of the security, ballsy or just plain stupid? Well, here's the thing. That person at the door, David Booley, good to see you, man. Thank you so much. That person at the door looked very, very comfortable to me. Maybe comfortable being a smash and grab guy or a break-in guy, but absolutely comfortable. Johnny Scoville. Get in here and kill this bee by the front door before I have to take an EpiPen, if you don't mind. And currently it's on the floor, which would make this a little bit easier. And I know that my wife, Relatable Reese, that's her there. You should go over and hit subscribe at her channel. She will make you laugh. She doesn't want me to kill any animals, but these can kill me, so they got to go. You follow me? Right by the front door, bro. Right there. Right there. Thank you. Do we know if Tommaso actually did leave after dropping her off? I don't know that for a fact. I don't, and I don't know that anyone else does. Good Lord, man. I didn't say torture it. I said kill it.
Just making sure.
I think they were already inside when the person was messing with the camera. Just a thought, because my phone would be going nuts with somebody in front of the camera. Yeah, it would. Now, if you don't have an alert on, then chances are you know what I mean? If you have alerts on it, it may be dinging. If you have it on silent for nighttime, this is a woman going to sleep without hearing aids in. You follow me? So if you don't have hearing aids in and you're almost deaf without them, that thing could be going off and you might not know it. We don't know anything about the Tommaso dropping her off. We just don't have anything. What we have is that the garage door was open for 2 minutes and that Nano said he saw her all the way in. But, I mean, what do we have for proof of that? Yeah, if you're a regular person, her pink cane was left behind too. Nothing was taken. It's kind of like that general. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow as well. The general took nothing, went out on a run, didn't take it. But nobody goes anywhere without their cell phone, right? Who leaves home without one of these? It's just not something that happens. In Nancy Woodrum case, it was the nice, kind house painter. This is terrifying. What do you know that case? I know that case well. And he was someone that painted at the house, but he worked there almost on a full-time basis. He did a lot of work over there. Too comfortable. It's almost really weird. Yeah, Charity Nick, I agree with you. Thank you, Natalie Brown. See that? Another satisfied customer. I always tell you, if you go over there and hit subscribe and you're unhappy, I'll give you your money back. But no one has ever asked for their money back. Not there or at the Johnny Scoville over at Chase the Heat. The scene in the bedroom was set up during the so-called game time. So they brought her home from there to kill her? Is that what you're saying? Help me understand this. So she definitely took an Uber over there. Somebody close, Ali Sayer says, Neckbeard is in on this because the person is way too comfortable. It seems like an inside job to me because that person was really, really comfortable, right? Too much so. She was never there. Okay, well, we know that that's not the truth, right? We know that that's not the truth. Uber, the way Uber works, it's all computerized. There is absolutely a pickup of an old woman at Nancy Guthrie's house who was then dropped off at her daughter's house. We know that's a fact. She was absolutely there. Who's that lady? Which lady? Oh, the one we were just talking about. Another very odd case that has a lot of parallels that happened, I believe. Was that Colorado? Annie and Tamatillo owed thousands to the Mexican restaurant. Okay. That's a hell of a motive. Well, yeah. What if he took her in and opened the back door or left it unlocked? Well, he could have. Nancy could have had a smoke alarm and the intruder alarm where you put the device under the mattress and shakes the bed. She could have, but I would doubt if that would be hooked up to your front camera. I could be wrong, but if you were that into it, wouldn't you have the subscription paid for? I don't think it was violent inside. Less violent, less evidence. Yeah, there's blood inside, but they said that there was not a lot of blood. In fact, they said it almost matched the amount that was on the outside by the porch. So there was not a ton of blood inside. So I think Capture Dandy may be right on that. I don't think there was a ton of violence inside. And I think that's why you go in looking hella intimidating, right? You got a gun right over your dick where the entire world can see it. You got a balaclava on. You're wearing 2 sets of gloves. You're completely, you look like you're a paid killer, right? You look like you're going in there to do serious damage. And I don't think they went in alone. I think there was 2 people that went in there, in my opinion. They had so many criminal minds involved from the band. They played everyone. Yeah, well, they didn't get. I don't think they got Uber to fake an 84-year-old woman getting a ride from Nancy Guthrie's house to the daughter's house. That person ended up. She was delivered there, right? That happened. She was delivered there. So that should tell us something. She did not. I don't think she died at the house at Annie's. And that was my original theory, but it doesn't seem to make sense to me. Nancy was sacked, silenced. Nano said when asked if this could happen again, he said absolutely. Right. And the first time he said that there was no chance it could happen again, that this was very targeted, right? I'm saying that Annie said Nancy was over for dinner and game night while she was kidnapped at the dinner table. They had plenty of time to set up the blood scene in the bedroom. Again, the blood scene has aspirated, right? So she was breathing that out. They didn't take blood and go dump it, right? It had to have been someone blowing it out, according to the experts. So Uber, say again?
I've done it 50 times. I know you can't fake that.
Yeah, if you've ever been smacked around, if you ever had a really good shot to the nose, the blood is a little bit different. There's an amount of stuff in there. Nursicans. Now I got to find Nursicans because it was an excellent question. What did we get here? Bear with me, people. Bear with me, but you are part of the show, you know. Nursicans. Where are we? Well, you'll have to leave it again because I can't find it. You guys are moving at a pretty good rate. And that happens when there's almost 1,000 people in there. So do me a favor, smack the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. It sure does help. Could the old lady in the Uber not be Nancy? Yeah, but now we're really getting into it, right? Now that's logical, right? You can't walk an old lady through the house and unlock a door and leave in 2 minutes. Yeah, you can. And we've actually had people time this. There are some people in the chat that have an 85-year-old father who uses a walker, and he was able to open the garage door and get inside with minimal assistance and do it in like a minute and 30 seconds or a minute and 15 seconds. Someone will correct me. So mushy upon mushkeypotamus. I don't know why we couldn't get that. Seems if by some chance they got a different old lady to get in that car at Nancy's, now you've got someone that'll probably take that $1 million reward. You follow me? Every time, if you have a thought and the thought is, I got an idea. What if there was another person? Every time you add that other person, the odds that as the circle gets bigger, people snitch. People keep going, why doesn't somebody tell? If there were 3 people involved in this, all of them are down for felony murder if she's dead. There's no getting away from felony murder. Whether you pulled the trigger, whether you were the getaway driver, whether you helped plan it, you're all going down for felony murder. Now, if you're just some jackwagon that knew about it and somebody told you about it, you can turn someone in for $1 million and collect it. These people are going to prison. Anyone who was involved on that night ain't getting out of this, no matter how much snitching they do. I promise you, that's felony murder. As a former bank robber, if I got a getaway driver, and I never used one, but if I got a getaway driver down the street and I go in and I got a gun, and I never used one, but if I go in with a gun and then somebody draws on me and I shoot him, the guy sitting at my apartment that helped plan this is going to go to prison. And anybody, yeah, different crime though. Haven't heard anything about them using facial recognition on Porch Guy. P.S. Proud of you and how you turned your life around. Well, not a kind thing to say, Sharon Z. I appreciate that. They can't use facial recognition software on that guy because of how much is covered, right? There are people that are pulling the mask off and using AI to do it. Have you ever tried the brand name Lyrica in place of pregabalin? I have. When I first got put on Lyrica, there was not yet a generic. It was a long time ago. She was dropped off by Uber, yes, as an alibi, witness taking her out of her home. Okay, but if they kill her at Annie's, then when her pacemaker stops working, it's going to be connected to a base that is not at her. When it disconnected from the base was hooked up to the Wi-Fi at Nancy Guthrie's house. So they had to bring her back there alive, right? The aspirated blood, the fact that when the pacemaker separated from the base, it was on the Wi-Fi at Nancy Guthrie's house, not at Annie Guthrie's house. Do you follow me?
Great question. How do you go into a bank with no heater?
How do I go into a bank with no heater? My fear was I would use one. I don't want to shoot anybody. Yeah, this is a lot of people have said this, man. A lot of people have said this. For 40 minutes, maybe Nancy was trying to convince, maybe they're trying to convince Nancy of something. Could be, right? Trying to get her to do something on a computer. Those are all kind of logical things. Will I be a guest on Surviving the Survivor again? My guess would be that they wouldn't want me to be a guest on Surviving the Survivor again. I say rape. I say all kinds of things that don't help the podcast, right? They don't push it out if I use all the words that I'm not supposed to. I would have to, pew and all of that stuff. It's not something I'm good at. It boggles the mind how 3 children of an elderly parent living alone and did not have the Cam app on their phones to get alerts How did no one know a man at a mask was at the front door twice? Yeah, at a minimum twice, right? For all we know, he could have been there more than that. Because there's no subscription, for all we know, that guy went there once a month for the last year. Truthfully, how do we know? There's no backup, right? So they're looking at other dates, which I find have said, you probably heard this, they're able to pull thumbnails out. They haven't gotten any more video, but they got still shots from the backyard before and after this happened. And whether or not that's going to mean anything, I have a feeling it's not. I really have a feeling it's not. Don't they have facial recognition for mask guy? The space between the eyes, bridge of the nose space, it's unique. Yes, it is. However, I don't think it's enough. And maybe I'm wrong. If there's somebody in here that's an expert on that, more your eyes than anything else. If you don't believe me, just look away, right? Or close your eyes. Your face isn't going to get it done. Aspiration with the blood, I just can't believe that. Well, look, and I would go with that if the people that were saying it aren't legends in true crime, right? The people that are talking about this are people that have worked 3,000 death scenes, people that literally kind of wrote the book on this stuff. I wouldn't trust it if it was coming from Nanos. Honest to God, right? If Nanos told me that today was Monday, I would consult the calendar. But this is kind of a stretch, I think, to go against those people. What about more than one watch? My understanding is, well, I guess if you had more than one watch, that's a possibility. I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. It's Bluetooth, so you would have to get the signal and acquire it and have your phone, your watch look that up, but I don't know how that would work. If burglars would have hit while she was in Annie's, there's a reason it happened after she got home, but why? They're not burglars, that's why. And this is something I promise you, as somebody that, what's that? Yeah, they weren't there to burglarize. And you know why I know this? Because I was a thief. That's what I did. Bank robbery is the top of the thieving food chain, but I didn't start at the top. I've stolen everything you could possibly steal at one time or another in my life, right? I was a career criminal before I got my life together. And if you go into a house and shit goes bad, you're still going to steal everything you can get because that's what you're there to do. So now you have to carry this old lady out. You're in there 40 minutes, but you leave her wallet on the counter with cash in it, no chance in hell. You leave pain medication in the house, no chance in hell. And you don't leave any gold. You don't leave electronics. You don't leave anything that you can wipe and sell. You just don't. You do a factory reset on a phone and you can sell it at Walmart. People would have been taking everything in there. Thieves steal stuff. Robbers steal stuff. It's their defining characteristic. So when people say it's a robbery that went wrong, the robbery goes wrong and all of a sudden you don't want to get any money out of it. You're still stuck with this old, or dead woman or whatever the case may be. Trust and believe you're going to get paid for the job. You'd steal everything in the house. That's how it works. And when burglaries go wrong, you find a body inside. They don't leave with the body. Now you've created a whole nother set of shit. The person's already dead. Taking them away doesn't eliminate the crime. It just makes a whole new set of things you got to deal with. And I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted. I know I get hate email every time I say this. But if a burglary goes wrong, you burn the house down with the person in it. Gas the whole place and burn it. It makes it a lot harder to do an investigation. And if the person happens to be 84 years old with a bad heart, you throw her down as hard as you can in a shower. I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted, but these people obviously are cold-hearted, right? You pistol whip the woman in the head and then throw her in a shower, take her clothes off and kick the water on. And by the time anybody finds her, they're not going to find evidence of you being there on that woman. Now, they're claiming that the evidence, the DNA, this is Coffindoffer, I believe, that may have said this first. But I believe that they're saying that they believe that it is saliva that they got for the foreign DNA. Because all the DNA in there, they're testing everybody. So you go in there because you clean the house, we get your DNA. You go in there because you're a pool guy, we get your DNA. You go in there because you do yada, yada. You're 4 of her friends, we get all that DNA so we can eliminate that from any sample. They have a male DNA in there that comes back to nothing, but they can't enhance it enough to put it into CODIS because it shows that it's DNA, but they can't separate it from everything else. It's like a puzzle, right? And they're saying that they're confident it can be done within a year. That doesn't mean it's going to take a year to do. What it means is they believe the technology will be so much further along in 1 year. No, I don't think Savannah is in on this in any way, Monica. They think that the technology will be so much better within the year that this is probably going to happen. The timeline is questionable. She had 10 p.m. pills she did not take. The timeline has been questionable on all of this, I think. I really do. 911 call came in. Nano said he responded alone and admitted he does not go on calls. Why did he go on at this time? Why did he go alone? He admitted he was there a bit and then called in homicide. I would have to look that up. I don't remember hearing that. Did you hear that from him? Did you hear that from Nanos? Because I don't remember that. I don't remember him saying that he showed up there alone. That would be fascinating to me, and it probably would be scandalous because for the sheriff to show up on anything, the sheriff doesn't show up for things. Now, Savannah Guthrie, I mean, that could have been it. This is a guy that absolutely craves cameras, right? Maybe he wanted to go out there because of it, but I don't know. I would have to look that up. I can't understand why people aren't screaming about no search parties for Nancy, regardless of, yeah, you know what? I'm a little surprised by that myself. I really am. It seems odd to me. Nothing in this makes sense. It really doesn't. Who told you about the pacemaker connection? That's just hard to fathom, too. The connection, but no traceability. You're not understanding what I'm saying, bud. You're not understanding what I'm saying. In the timeline that Nanos has put out every single time he talked about it, he said her pacemaker disconnected from the base at what, 2:48 or whatever that time is. I don't have it off the top of my head. That phone is the base. Where was the base hooked up to? The Wi-Fi, right? This isn't a stretch. This actually makes a hell of a lot of sense. Anytime you have a device on Wi-Fi, it leaves a fingerprint that it is on Wi-Fi at that time. So her pacemaker can't be traced. The base is different. The pacemaker can't send the signal into space. So it sends a signal 40 feet away to the base, which is either a smartwatch or a smartphone. That can send the signal into space. You follow me? That's what's going on in this. Why would they leave the back door open and take her out the front door? Also, why leave the door open while in there? Well, I don't know. It does seem odd that the back door was wide open. Am I sure the bee is dead? Johnny Scoville shocked it 75 times with a device that shocks bugs. If it's not dead, then we have a lot to worry about. I have a VPN and it's making YouTube weird. Well, that sucks. Have you seen the ring footage on January 24th of the black male peeking in the windows with a black backpack? I have not. Where did you see that, Steve? I did not see that. Yeah, as soon as you walk in the door, you're going to steal. That's just kind of the way it goes. This wasn't a random break-in. This was a planned attack. If it was a random break-in, those pain meds alone, thousands on the street, and the easiest shite in the world to sell right now is legitimate fentanyl or legitimate whatever she's taken, right? No matter what she's taken, pain meds are not hard to get rid of, and they don't have numbers on them that you can trace. Why are clothes almost always removed? I'm not sure I know what that question means. Could have taken the pacemaker with the phone while she was at the dinner party. The phone at the dinner party was hooked up to Annie's Wi-Fi. You understand that everywhere you go with this, if you're outside, it's not on Wi-Fi, you're running cellular. But once you go into some place that has Wi-Fi, especially if it's a place you go all the time and you don't need the password. I walk into my mom's house and I'm instantly on her Wi-Fi, and it's going to leave a record of that they're not going to have a problem finding. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what's the message? And what I mean by that is, because a lot of people think this, there's not much of a message if you don't say what the message is, right? So the family has to guess what the message is. You understand what I'm saying? Think about the Unabomber. Think about BTK. All of these people that have something that they want to say, and they want you to know they did it. It's like when an embassy in another country gets bombed, the people that bombed it are going to take credit within the first 20 hours, right? They're going to come forward and say, this was us. Here's why we're doing it. I don't think that there's a message that was sent to this family. And if it is, the family hasn't figured out what the hell it is, which is kind of a worthless message. My dad wanted me to take over payments on his beautiful home in the foothills. I had one condition: build a guest house for mom, and I will. The rest is history. I took very good care of her. Kathy, I love that. And the foothills are a very beautiful place to live, man. I absolutely love it. Maybe they can't get DNA because they are LGBTQ. That wouldn't stop you from getting DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid doesn't really care about your sexual orientation or how you identify. You can identify as a dolphin queen king. You're still leaving behind all kinds of DNA that they can test. And it doesn't change your DNA when you start taking hormones or doing anything like that. Your DNA is pretty much etched in stone. And it is put together the first time you and your mom and dad did it. At that moment, your DNA starts to come together, and that's it. What the hell are you talking about? Listen, this has got nothing to do with nanos. This hooks up to Wi-Fi, my man. This hooks up to Wi-Fi. The FBI would not let nanos go out and say, this is bullshit, right? I'm just going to lie about where she was, right? He told the world where she was abducted from. The blood that you think might have been planted on the front came out of someone's mouth. That didn't come from nanos. That came from a cat that has done 3,000 death scenes, right? A blood spatter expert and another blood spatter expert who literally wrote always a great way to, within a couple of feet of where that hit. So this is what's causing people to believe that she was carried out. Maybe she was carried out in a tarp or in a rug or whatever the hell they had in that backpack. But they're saying, Flinner, that they were within a couple of feet of the ground, right, when that happened. That doesn't look like planted blood, and that's not coming from nanos. And this is just science. These things hook up to Wi-Fi. Whenever you walk into someone's house and they have a Wi-Fi signal, it leaves a footprint that you connected to that Wi-Fi. Her pacemaker then connects to this. Follow me? It doesn't matter what Nanos tells us about that. Her watch was in that house, hooked up to that Wi-Fi. Nanos is incompetent, maybe a liar, but her watch was in her house, Nancy Guthrie's house. Follow me? When she disconnected from that watch was hooked up to her Wi-Fi, and that device told us that it just disconnected from there. So she had to be at that house. EquiSearch was on today saying they offered help with no response. There have been a bunch of people that have offered to go out and help search with absolutely no response. And some of them, at first they said they don't want them traipsing through the crime scene. They don't want them walking through people's backyards, but you won't let them do it with a grid search with drones. This is just an egomaniac that loves his little fiefdom. On Ashley Banfield today, a gentleman stated that to hold a car longer than 10 days, they will have to reapply with reasons. Well, they had it a hell of a lot longer than 10 days. They absolutely did. Ever since Nonads told everybody to leave the family alone because it was cruel, I have thought he knew Annie and Neckbeard personally like friends. Well, I mean, look, he said leave him alone on day 5. The first time he said that, he said it on day 5. And then he sent a team over, right, to go through their house. He snatched up their car. So I don't know. My thought on that was he doesn't want him to lawyer up. That was my thought, but I could be wrong, right? That's just a theory. Thank you. Same thing, right? When you drive away from the house, your car is going to disconnect from the Wi-Fi, and then it's going to go on to cellular, right? Or cellular roaming or whatever you want to call it. That's how this works. It's the same principle. Would she have to be inside her house for the phone and pacemaker to be synced? Could she be in T's vehicle in the garage and it still works? I don't know. Usually what they say on the pacemaker is it's about 40 feet. When you start putting concrete between there, in between, I don't know how that works. I just don't. The footage was on Megyn Kelly today with a former SWAT team member. The footage was from January 24th, crystal clear footage on a Ring camera. Steve, you're talking about the guy looking in the windows. Interesting. I don't watch Megyn Kelly, but I will go check that out. That is interesting. The pants and the knee brace they found. A lot of people are really high on that. I'm not. I'm just not. Again, if you were careful enough to do this, I don't see you walking this woman out through the wash. If you're doing that, why did you need to get right? It doesn't. Why do you carry her out the front door to then take her around back to go through the wash? You follow? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And dropping something like that with all you took all of that time to make sure you're not going to show your face, you're not going to have DNA, you got 2 sets of gloves on, and you're just going to start throwing her clothing out as you go seems odd to me. But it's just an opinion. Yeah, now that the I have fallen and I can't get up things, I think that they're an absolute miracle. Life support, Lifeline. What is it? Life Alert. Life Alert. Thank you, Johnny Scoville. Yeah, I wish she had had a Life Alert. I really did. I too saw and read that Savannah's husband was a crisis PR fixer for Clinton. So he worked for Al Gore and was a liaison to the office. Somebody sent me some stuff from his resume, and he definitely worked for the Clinton White House because Gore was the vice president in the Clinton White House. But his affiliation was far more with Gore than with the Clintons. And regardless, how does this help that? I mean, honestly, and I'm not busting on you, Monica, but I get this email about 100 times a day. How does that? So let's say that this is an absolute fact. In fact, we'll take it a step farther and say, let's say he was banging Hillary Clinton. Let's say they were best of friends and they were godparents to the guy's first kid from a previous marriage. What's the benefit for the Clintons getting rid of Nancy Guthrie? How in any way, shape, or form does this benefit them? They still have to go testify, right? They're still rolling forward really heavy with all of the stuff that's going on with the Epstein files. This isn't closing down the Epstein files, I promise you. I am banging my head against the wall. I do it for 4 hours a day. Welcome to my world. Billboards and states placed. Your thoughts on why in these states? Well, I think some of it is proximity, and some of it is because they probably have leads. They have been wildly successful over the years with these billboard campaigns. But I would imagine that it has to do with driving distance, things of that nature. I believe Nancy was a victim of opportunity, maybe a handyman. So victims of opportunity, roof freshly painted white. Yeah, they paint those roofs white all the time. That's a big thing down there because if not, your house gets really, really hot. New camera mounted. Who mounted the new camera? So a victim of opportunity to me is when you walk by and there's a car running with keys in it. These people may have. So what you're saying is she was a victim because somebody saw her and thought there's a ton of money in going in here and grabbing this woman. That's a possibility. Virginia Guthrie. Yes, she interviewed Virginia Guthrie. If you do a little research, you'll find out that in the scheme of people that interviewed former victims of Jeffrey Epstein, right? Savannah Guthrie is this big. And there are people out there that are this big. The reason that Epstein got arrested again was because of a woman that covered what had happened in Florida and brought so much heat by her coverage that he ended up getting rearrested, right? And the feds picked up the case. That would be a really good person if you wanted some revenge, or if you're trying to send a message to shut the hell up. If you can ask AI, I asked 7 models to do this, rate people on how hard they went after Jeffrey Epstein, how hard hitting their interviews were, and give it to me on a scale of 1 to 10. They came up with Savannah Guthrie at 7. If I'm going to try to send the message, I'm not grabbing number 7, right? I'd grab 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, maybe even 6. 1 would probably be the best bet to go with, though, right? Yeah, Virginia Guthrie, I think, is who you're probably asking about. You're going to have to put out cliff notes for those who are late on the Nancy show. It's fishy that they don't want help. Allie, I agree with you. Was Annie's car really released to her? but was taken immediately to a repair shop first? I can't answer that, Monica. And look, I can tell you what everybody else is saying, but I'm not going to. So I don't know the answer to that is the right answer. Did you see the YouTuber Doug? He got a man trying to get into a gate down the street, no mask, but a white Kia in the background. When you say trying to get into the gate, was this in the middle of the night? Was this in the day? No, I have not seen it. What do I think will crack the case? Geofencing, DNA, or a tip from something else? I think it's going to be technology. I absolutely think it's going to be technology. And what I mean by that is you drive out of the Catalina foothills, and I don't care what direction you go into, you're going to get onto a street that is going to pass ATMs. It's going to pass 7-Elevens or Quick Trips. It's going to pass all kinds of buildings that have cameras that shoot out at the road. And once they can figure out what they're looking for, they track that shit, and they're brutal. Now, it can take a lot longer than it does on TV. And those of us in true crime want this done while we're going to the bathroom like it happens on Law and Order. And it doesn't happen like that in the real world. All of these things take a hell of a lot of time. Think about how many cameras we're talking about. Think about how many different views and streets and all of this that they got to go through. This is a nightmare logistically. And not to bum anybody out, but the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Kathy. The Federal Bureau of Investigation technically does this, but it's not what they do, right? It's not what they do. On Ashley Banfield today, it was said the car, yes, I heard that. That is absolutely true. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in theory, is supposed to protect the United States, right? Truthfully, it's supposed to protect the citizens inside the United States. All of the stuff that they do with investigation and everything else is going to take a backseat if they're worried about people landing some kind of explosive devices off of the coast of California. Once this war started, I promise you, they're pulling an awful lot of resources that may have been looking at videos and doing other things. It's not going to happen the same way inside of Arizona, but the FBI there is a list of shit that they have to do. It's a situation that is going to make this very difficult to continue bringing the same amount of heat that they have to this case since the beginning. Do me a favor. There's 1,000 of you in here, and I have not cursed at anyone yet. So do me a favor and smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. And if you don't get over and hit subscribe at my wife's channel, I'm not going to talk to any of you ever again. Stop reading your comments. Seems convenient that she went to her daughter's house by Uber, and then the son-in-law brought her home, plus no subscription to the cameras, and a guy super comfortable taking the camera. Cat Father, I definitely think that everything you just brought up are really solid points that kind of scream, this seems like an inside job. And then, the last person to see her alive, right? All of these things kind of become an issue. Statistically speaking, abductions like this happen from people within the family. And if not, there are people so friggin' close to the family that you may as well call them unk, right? That's 8 out of 10 times. A couple of different statistics will tell you 75% of the time. But anyway you shake it, 100 of these go down, only 25 of them are going to be done by some random stranger. So this is the reason that I personally like Neckbeard for this crime. Does not mean he did it. I've never said he did it. I just said with the cast of characters we have, he was the last person to see her before she was abducted or unalived. See what I did there, Johnny Scoville?
I did.
Before she was killed or murdered or whatever happened there, right? But that was the last person to see her. He dropped her off. That, to me, is a big deal. He's also family. That's a big deal. Then I look for, always, who's acting weird after the fact, right? You look at individuals like Stephen Stearns. Remember, you start seeing people and they start doing really weird shit. He gets in a car, drives 160 miles, turns around and drives back for no apparent reason. You start going, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? You start looking at people and going, what are they doing? Thank you, Monica. That's a very kind thing to say. I'm nothing if not patient. I'm known for it. Just ask my wife. It's my defining characteristic. But I look for people that start doing things that don't look normal to me. And I watch a lot of true crime, right? This is kind of what I do. This is sort of my thing. I also was a career criminal. This is not how people act when someone is abducted. Doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong. It doesn't. Everybody reacts to things differently. But 99 out of 100 times, they want to talk to the press. They want their face in front of that camera for 2 reasons. So that the people in the world don't think they did it. And so that the press doesn't stop talking about the case. because when the press stops talking about the case, leads dry up. And that's actually the definition of a cold case, when there are no longer any leads to work. And they're going to need every tip they can get on this. So immediately after the crime, the daughter's covering her face, doesn't want anyone to see who she is. And Neckbeard's doing the same thing. He's pulling a shirt up over his face. That's odd behavior. Put that with everything else. Their family, they're the last to see him alive. And I start going, yeah, that doesn't look right. Who are some of my must watch? Ashley Banfield for sure. I think Ashley Banfield is fantastic. I don't miss anything that Brian Enton does on this particular case, and I will continue to do that because he's got some direct lines to people that are definitely giving them information. And then the rest of them are kind of on a rotation, right? There's a lot of them that I watch Surviving the Survivor. I'm still a member over there. I watch them a lot, but it's kind of on a rotation. See, here's the thing, because this is a very logical thing to say, right? This is absolutely logical. Or whatever. At 84 years old, if your mom did something, she would probably know she pissed somebody off, and those people wouldn't snatch her first. They would probably tell her to back off, shut up, whatever. You escalate to the, I'm going to break into your house and kidnap you. I don't think that if this is something that an 84-year-old woman somehow pissed this person off, I don't think that it's logical that it starts there, right? I think that chances are it would go up a chain. And an 84-year-old woman would say to somebody in the family, hey, I got a weird phone call from somebody that told me if I don't stop doing this, this, or this, right? I could be wrong. Maybe they jumped from 0 to 110 and decided to snatch her. But just saw that video from Megan with dude looking in the window saying all family passed polygraphs. FBI and Pima County have no suspects. There are many people out prowling. We'll all be damned. I definitely would love to see that. I'd love to hear for a fact that they all passed polygraphs. If so, Nano should be thrown in front of a bus for coming out and telling us that they're not suspects and not saying to us the reason they're not is because they passed a polygraph test, because that would have stopped the hell that these family members are being put through, because that's what we all expected to happen. That's what happens in traditional cases like this. The first thing that happens is you poly the whole family. Then you tell the friggin' world about it, because then the world won't call in and go, I know it's the son-in-law, right? How many tips do you think they got about the son-in-law and all of the people in that family that they wouldn't have gotten if they would have taken the time to tell the world what happened? I absolutely will look at that, Michelle Rhodes. Did she say where she got the information that everybody in the family passed the polygraph? Because that wouldn't be the first time I've heard it, but it does help if we find out where it came from. Last night on Doug's channel, he was chasing a dude in a blue Chevy, got away from him and backed his car into a driveway 2 houses down from Luke Daly. Is he still missing? Good God, he's chasing people? That's terrifying. No shit, that's terrifying. What if it's not somebody that's involved in this? Holy hell, people are going to get shot. This is scary. Junior says, guy at the front door was a fall guy for a person coming in the back door. Okay, if I was hired to do this, and again, I would never do this because this isn't the kind of crime that I committed. I'm not a big fan of victimizing 80-year-old women. But so if you see right there, that black thing, that's the handrail that you got to walk up. Then there's that little strip of driveway, and then there's a big section of of desert with cacti and everything else. Right in front of that is where they have set up that makeshift memorial, okay? If the getaway car comes right there to pick them up, then the getaway car is on film. This guy's job was to get rid of that camera. That's what this guy's job was. And if you go and just Google all of the images you can get of the housing of that camera, even today, if you look at the images of the housing, you'll still see green in the housing, right behind it from the foliage. He wasn't trying to cover the lens. He was trying to pry it off. Pulling it off with your hand is hard to do if you have a small device like a screwdriver or whatever. But imagine if the person that put them up and told them about this said, what if, all you got to do is pull that thing off, right? All you got to do is pull it off, nothing to it. Well, that's very easily what could have happened, right? He gets there, finds out he can't pull it off. He immediately starts looking down. He's looking all around the inside of that place, looking for something he can use as a tool. When he doesn't find it, he goes and breaks shrubbery off. The very first photo I ever saw of that housing, and there was still a stick sticking out from it, right? Sticking out from it. Polygraph info on Ashley Banfield today, an exclusive, lots of info. You know, it's funny. Oh, so I literally I never miss Ashley, but we kind of go on at the same time. So, but I think when they were done taking care of that camera in the front, then he went around the back into help. Was my house that dark? Absolutely it was. Everybody's house in the Catalina foothills is that dark. That's a great question. The Catalina foothills does not have a lot of light pollution. It's the most beautiful place that you'll ever see to stare at the stars. 2030, we'll still be looking for her. I don't think so, but that's just my opinion, right? So what do you think of the going rate to hire somebody to abduct an 84-year-old woman, and where will the money come from? I know what I'm thinking. I think that this was originally intended to be, hey, Maine, good to see you. Thank you. It's a kind thing to say. I believe that this was supposed to be a kidnapping for hire. I mean, a kidnapping for ransom, rather, and that they killed her in the first night. That's what I think. And unfortunately, it's a bitch, right, to get somebody to pay you if you can't show proof of life. It's in the playbook, right? If you've ever seen the movie The Big Lebowski, no proof of life, no pay. That's how it works, right? The camera was battery operated. Even if you disconnected it, which would still be filming. Could have picked up audio from the inside of the house if he had it in his pocket. You're 100% right. And we know that because even after it was disconnected and taken from the front of the house, right, we absolutely knew that according to everything they've told us, it did at some point then go dee and pick something else up. It was no longer on the front door, but it absolutely picked something up. One Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I don't know that they were going to go with Bitcoin. I don't think that has anything to do with this. I think those were lowlives that went, she's missing. No one's asked for any ransom. Let's reach out. Because if you actually had her, you don't reach out to 3 news stations and that's Satan Harvey Levin. You would have reached out to the family. That's usually how that works. There was a wreath hanging by the front door hung with a long piece of wire, better than weeds, but that makes too much sense to grab. Yeah, and it also could make noise as it grinds along. Hey, Sue Nelson, I hope you're doing well. It also grinds along the front door. You know what I mean? He could have just smashed the camera with his foot. Again, we're getting into noise. The idea is you would like no one inside to hear that you're doing anything on the outside, right? So if you can just kind of pull the thing off or pry it off. It's hard to tell if they were using luminol. Here's my thought, though. When it's dark at night and you're using a flash and it doesn't look like there's lights inside the house, then my gut tells me you're using luminol, right? You would want the lights on as much as possible. Was it forced entry? Well, it depends on which version of the story you believe, because we have been told that there was definitely forced entry, and then we were told that he never said that, and then we were told there was not. And I think the most recent version of his bullshit is that, yes, there was forced entry. What if the ransom money was real and the criminal involved knew that's why no more ransom notes? I think it's pointless to try to get money if you can't prove life. No one's going to send you $6 million without proof that you actually have the woman that they're trying to get paid on. Oh, Rick, I want to tell you something. Kids and old people are really, really high on the list of things that piss off people, right? Really, really piss off people, right? So forced entry, by the way, doesn't mean that you used a pry bar and smashed in through the door. My brother makes me laugh. It doesn't necessarily mean that you kicked the door in or that you broke through with a pry bar. It could be you knocked on the door, and when the person went to open it, you kicked it in on them. Forced entry just means that you got in that house and you didn't get in the traditional way. Very often, forced entry doesn't mean that anybody broke a lock, because a lot of people say, well, we saw images of the back door and there's no marks on it or whatever. If she had by some chance gone to the back door, then that very well could have been the, how they got in and sort of bum rushed her. That would still be considered forced entry. They didn't enter the front door. It was not forced entry. It came from LT and SWAT team entered via the back door. This is a current LT on the SWAT team. Boy, I'm going to have to get over there and check that out. Nice Green Acres reference. Hey, Minx, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Because of kidnapping, you remove the person alive. Follow me? If the person dies, then it is a kidnapping gone wrong, because you don't get paid for a dead body. You get paid for someone who is alive. It's called proof of life. Usually what you'll say is, ask him a question that the only person in the world who could answer would be the person that's missing, right? This kind of shit. In fact, it happens in 1,000 out of 1,000 kidnappings. If you can't prove that you got somebody, then you don't have anything to worry about in terms of getting paid. Yabish. Everyone hit the like button and subscribe, says Michelle, and I appreciate that. That really does help, believe it or not. Smack that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notification. And there's 3 of us. You should come over to Chase the Heat. Check out the Johnny Scoville. He's kind of famous. And my wife will make you laugh like nobody on planet Earth. That is Relatable Reese. That would be that woman right there. Is a kidnapping automatically federal? No, it's a great question too. There are state kidnappings and then there are federal kidnappings. Federal kidnappings happen in a couple of ways. If you demand the cash get wired to you, or you use Bitcoin or anything like that, that's going to become a federal kidnapping because the cash crosses state lines. If you snatch the person up and in Arizona and you drive them to Nevada, that's absolutely going to become a federal. And the feds don't play with kidnapping. If you get caught for it, the minimum on the sentencing guideline sheet is 360 months. So you're going to do a 30 piece like that. And that's the minimum. If you have criminal history points, right? In the feds, when you get sentenced, it's on a grid. And the bottom part of that, the bottom axis is your criminal history. It's a score from 1 to 9. The axis that goes up this way starts at 1, like you took a leak in a public park, and then you get down to the bottom where you killed somebody and crossed state lines with them. But kidnapping is 2 away from the highest, most intense thing they can throw at you, and they are damn serious about it. Oh yeah, sorry, I meant ransom note wasn't real. That's why no more notes. Yeah, I don't believe that those had anything to do with it. What's the difference between a kidnapping and an abduction? Normally, if you snatch someone from their house, that's kidnapping. If you grab someone off the street, they will usually call that abduction. But normally, by definition, like if you go in and steal someone's dog, you dog nap them. If you take somebody away from their house, that's kidnapping. Doesn't mean you're going to ask for money. That's a kidnapping for ransom, and they are 2 very different things. Sometimes people kidnap someone because they're a freak and they want to do bad things to them, right? They want to cut them up and, have sex with them or do whatever kind of weird shit they want to do. However, the guy at the door doesn't look like he's in his teens or early 20s. And according to most people who are smart and do this crap for a living, if you're the kind of sick bastard that wants to rape somebody that's 84, you're probably going to be in your early 20s to late teens. For whatever reason, it kind of works that way, almost pro forma, right? The people that tend to perpetrate those kind of sexual assault crimes on people, the older the individual, the younger the perp. Not sure why that is, but that is what it is. You're right. People would like to tie everything up in one bow. And if they can put this on Epstein, then they can also hate a political party over it. And isn't that a win-win for everybody, right? Maybe we could hate the other side just a little bit more. Abduction is what happened to the missing UFO guy. Sam Lamb, well played. Well played. In abductions, you may get an anal probe. Did Luke buy the Rover from Dude or Dude Dealer? He bought it from MG Motors. Allegedly, he bought it from MG Motors. Sorry for the typo. Do you think Savannah would tell if they hired a private investigator, or would they keep that quiet? I think it was a neighbor and somebody totally off the radar. It absolutely can be somebody totally off the radar. It absolutely can. And I think that's as logical as anything I'm saying. However, to speculate on this, I have a cast of characters, and of the cast of characters, I really like Neckbeard. And even if he looked like, Clark Kent, he's the last person to see her, and he acted like a friggin' weirdo after this went down, right? This to me is a bad friggin' look. And you can debate this, right? There are people that say, you don't know how people act. No, I don't. But I've watched a lot of true crime, and that's really friggin' unusual. I mean, that is super, super unusual. Sir, take a good look at that. Have you seen it? Take a good look at that. Tell me, does that looks normal to you? Sorry about that. Needed to yell at a cat. Sometimes Squirrel Nut Zipper is not the most well-behaved cat, and she doesn't want to be a shrew until I go live. Would they have tested everyone's handwriting if notes are real? Yes. If there was a note there or something like that, they certainly would do everybody's handwriting. I'm sorry, what? Another streamer said Phoenix police tried to stop Luke's brother Matthew in a white van. The YouTuber said Matthew shot himself in the head and is in the hospital in Phoenix. I could find no confirmation. Well, the night that this happened, 13th of February, is when I believe when they all of those search warrants were done, and they picked up the car and the Range Rover and all that. There was a body laying on the ground next to a white van, and every swinging you know what in the entire in the entire universe that is covering this case, all of them started to report that they already found the perp and the guy capped himself in the van. It didn't happen. It was a hit and run. It sounded great, but a lot of people ran with it. I was live at the time and people kept asking me questions, and I'm like, man, I'm not seeing that anywhere, right? I'm not running with that. That scares the shit out of me, right? So I bailed off, couldn't find it. When I went back on, I said, man, it didn't happen. So this could be people conflating a couple of different things. I've heard nothing about that. Nothing. And I promise you that would be a big ass story. People just don't get, they're going to continue to run with that. And I'm going to get 30 questions a day on it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And I honestly, I do get it. It would be wonderful if everything came together. I was watching that streamer, Dolly Vision. He said he was carrying on like a queen after he saw what he said, somebody who was shot in the head, but never heard anything else after that. I believe Dolly may have been the first person to run with that. And I'm not mad at Dolly or say anything bad about him, but I do believe that was the first place that I had ever heard it. And all of the people that were coming in, I was doing a midnight show on this. And all of the people that were coming into the show kept saying, "No, it happened. I watched it on Dolly Vision." And it's really easy to get wrapped up and to find yourself in a position where you report some things that you might have reported a little too early. I did it during the Diddy case. That's why I said Diddy earlier. I did it a couple of times during the Diddy case. I'm never going to do it again. Tommy, remember the white van the neighbor said he saw like a week prior? Do you think that van could have been involved, or the van casing the place prior to the kidnapping? Here's the deal on that. You know, there are a lot of people that say it's unheard of. Nobody would go and eat their lunch in the Catalina foothills. I used to see it all the time. I really did. So when I lived in the Catalina foothills, I also had a motorcycle, like a on-road, off-road kind of dirt bike. And I used to ride it all the time. And I would forever be passing guys that were just sitting in there with the air conditioning on, macking back on food right around lunchtime. But it could be. It's hard to know. You know, it really is. We don't have a lot to go on that. Yeah, Bucking Fitch, I tend to agree with you. He said Dolly saw a car accident involving a deceased person. That's all it was. I think that's what it was. I do. But it's easy to run with, especially with everything going on and you're watching him go out. I'm not bad-mouthing the guy. I promise you I'm not. In the latest interview, Nano said they still believe same motive as day one. Well, day one, Banfield reported they were looking at T as maybe a prime suspect. Do you think T is still their suspect? I thought exactly what you just said. I think I even said it last night. You know, it seems like this kind of screams that, right? Who stated what? Michelle, you got to give me more to go on that. Who stated what? Because we've been talking about somebody shooting themselves in the head. So I don't know the answer to that, whether or not they're still on neckbeard. I play this as the true crime game, and statistics, you know, are what you start with. And the statistics are 8 out of 10, right? 75 out of 100 at a minimum of these kind of abductions happens from people that are family or so close to family that you probably call them uncle, right? That's kind of how it goes down. People that are so close. This is not usually random, strange abductions. That kind of crap doesn't happen. So that would be really strange just for starters. The last person to see them alive is where every investigation starts. Then I have watched Nanos say to us on day 5, not involved. Stop blaming the family. They're not involved. And what happens? They go over and spend 5 days taking pictures inside their house, pulling out bags of evidence, not at the crime scene, but at Annie and Tommaso's. They take her car, right? They took Luke Daly's car. He had it back in what, a week? Look, how long did it take to give theirs back? This screams they're suspects. Whether or not they are, if they're not, and they've literally been cleared by polygraphs, then Nanos is a shit wagon for what he's done to the family. So hopefully Michelle is going to tell me exactly what was said. Because Papa Kenny, I agree with you. 2 guys, guy inside, possibly with walkie-talkie, told the guy outside, I'm coming out. There's a doorbell camera, take it off. That could be. But I also think there was somebody that had to pick them up. I don't think they were going to be walking that woman, a quarter of a mile to the getaway car. Why have a heavy gated front door, but 2 glass panels on each side of it? Wouldn't that defeat the security purpose? Yeah, probably. By Tommaso, he came on the front porch and told him to leave. Well, I'll be damned. He made an appearance. Wow. Muscupotamus. When I have said, anytime I talked about neckbeard, I mean the 2 of them. I don't think that this is one of those things that is going to happen with only one person. The FBI stated they have absolutely no leads. He also said all family members have been cleared via poly. Watch it. I will, but who the hell is he? Like, I'm not trying to bust balls, but who is he? Is he a former FBI? Is he current FBI? Is he working the case? How much is the rent where you are? You'd be depressed if I told you. It would bum you right out if I told you. Let's just say that to live where I live, if I were in Florida and I was this close to the ocean, I'd be paying probably 25 times what I'm paying in rent, somewhere around there. It's quite reasonable. Yes, he came out and told Mark the Shark to get lost. Well, if they had set up a perimeter, it would be a lot less of a problem. So I will need to find out who this guy is, right? Because sometimes they have these people on and they are just retired people that come on and give opinions. And they say things like, by now they absolutely would have, polygraphed everybody in the family. If they have polygraphed this family and that has been going on for this long and Nanos never told anyone in the world that's really a bummer. You're absolutely right. This is a great comment. Nanos is a huge reason the public is suspicious of Annie and Tommaso because he won't answer any questions to exonerate him. Bingo, right? Bingo. Look at the Elizabeth Smart case. What were we, 72 hours in and they polygraphed the family and came out and said, Dad passed a polygraph today, right? Did it stop everybody from thinking he did it? No, but it sure as shit cut down on it. And you're not going to get as many tips. I mean, there's 50,000 tips that came in, and that was as of almost 2 weeks ago. How many of those are about neckbeard? If this shit cop had told us in the beginning that this guy passed a poly, but I'm going to have to watch that show to be sure exactly what is said. Brian missed his dog. Oh, I don't blame him. I don't like being away from my animals for any kind of length of time. Worse, I don't like being away from my wife. It's killing me. Polygraphs were for new hires. That is the truth. But they have also, there's a leak that came out as a former top SWAT leader. Yeah, SWAT isn't going to be somebody I'm going to take any information on in terms of who had polygraph tests given or not. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but SWAT is who you call when you're going to go kick doors in. And as a former top SWAT leader, that to me, I can't take that as law. I'm not trying to be a jackwagon, but I wouldn't run with that. I really would not run with that. Yeah, so if the family passed polygraphs, why haven't they come out and said, shut the F up? Oh, I will watch it. I promise you I'm going to watch it. 100%. I will watch it. But, if they said this person who is currently working the case, Nanos needs to come out and say that so that we will all shut up. Tommy, he did come out and his beard is damn near all white. His conscience is getting to him. Interesting. Stress could be too, but interesting. That does kind of happen. Someone said porch guy used sign language when he bent over to pick up the plant and looked out to someone and used sign language. He seemed to do a hand gesture. I spent a lot of time on that video, and he does seem to do some kind of a hand gesture. As a former federal inmate, we have a way of doing like an abbreviated sign language, right? It's kind of the alphabet, except they do it in a prison kind of fashion that's a little bit different. And they do this after each word before they start the next one. I was kind of looking to see if I saw anything like that, but I didn't. I was listening to Pima County Scanner during the Rio Rico SWAT raid. They airlifted an 84-year-old woman to the hospital. This is fact, yet they have not mentioned it. Was it Nancy? Could she be coming home? No, she couldn't. And I'll tell you why. Let's go with this as a hypothetical. Do you have any idea how many people in the hospital would have had to have been involved in that? So you come and pick her up in a helicopter. You're going to have 5 people on that helicopter, maybe 6. You're going to take her into an ER. There's going to be, by the time it's done, 40 people, right, at a minimum that are going to see this woman. That leak would have been all over the world. There's no chance in hell we wouldn't have heard about it. You think the guy who tried to cover the camera with plants, to me, is a woman. Interesting. You know what? No, but do me a favor, please. Send that to me. TommyScoville@gmail.com, because I have done a bunch of looking into this fool, and God, would I like to run with that. Please send me the source you got on that one so that I could do a show on it. I've done shows on how bad this guy is, what investigations are going on against him, things that he did, like in that rape case that were just unconscionable, right? With a woman that got raped, and he did everything he could to cover the shit up. I've covered that stuff, but I would love that. Please send me the link where you got that information to TommyScoville@gmail.com. I did recently finally get a roommate, a physical therapist that I had from a car accident. It crushed my car and almost killed me in December. I have problems with my back and hip now. You know what? I'm sorry, Blitz. Thoughts and prayers, but I'm glad that you got a roommate. Off-duty cops aren't allowed to gamble? I would imagine that they can.
Nanos gambles on basketball.
Johnny Scoville says, Nanos gambles on basketball. I'll bet you he was at a game when he shouldn't have been. Looked really bad. The Fed said Sammy the Bull Gravano was dead, and he was out dealing while in WITSEC and even did a few hits. They didn't say Sammy the Bull was dead. They didn't say Sammy the Bull was dead. He went into WITSEC. Everybody knew he went into WITSEC, but they never said he was dead. He did 5 years in the cheese factory at Black Canyon in the Feds, and when he got out, immediately went into witness relocation. And everyone knew he was in WITSEC, but they never did a funeral or any of that shit for him. They just put him in WITSEC. Do you think the guy could have took off the Nest cam and then went back to the car to see if cops or someone shows up for the 40 minutes instead of being in the house? I don't think they would. I don't think that that's something that they would do. I would be shocked by that. But yeah, I mean, you're all in at that point. I don't think they're worried about cops showing up. I really don't. I think that they were pretty well comfortable with exactly what was going on in the front of that house. That guy does not look like a guy that was uncomfortable.
Sammy's very alive.
Yeah, Sammy lived around the corner from me back in the day, facing the highway, so he could see all the cars coming off of the exit. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Salvatore Gravano. Some people may think it's a woman because it's some instance the eyes look feminine. Yeah, it's a tall woman, or it's a good sized woman. Well, with all due respect, I could get you a photograph of just about every woman on planet Earth wearing pants that look exactly like that. And the blood is out the front door, correct? And they said that this was found in the wash out the back door. That seems really, really odd, right? And who's going to take the time to be as prepared, right? You got the backpack, you got all of this crap, and you're going to what? Just toss a pair of her pants out, or drop them out of the backpack? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, anyway. It doesn't. You saw it on a channel called Off the Record. Yeah. With all due respect, that's probably. I'll go take a look at it.
If you don't see a person, it's probably
yeah. That Off the Record sounds to me like an AI channel that I may have seen. You got to be really careful. If you don't see a human being talking, or if the human being talks like this, and there just seems to be something with the mouth that does not look right, then it's probably AI and you're probably getting BS'd, and they're getting paid like you wouldn't believe right now. Well, I don't know that I can put all of them in there. I don't know if I could put all of them in on this, but I do like it as a 3-man operation. That makes sense to me. Perp looks goth. Well, there's a lot of goth people around that are tied into, or at least tangentially tied into this case. What about the idea that a note was left in the house that we haven't been told about? Something to the effect of, we'll be in touch with more directions. Then Nancy passed away, so goons went dark. I think that if they went into the house and found that letter, that they would not have called the cops, because normally the letters that are left behind when somebody is abducted say what they will write is, you call the cops, she's dead, right? That's your normal kidnapping. That's how it normally goes. We have her. We're going to be in touch. Call the cops. She's dead, right? That's normally what happens in the playbook for people that kidnap, because they don't want you calling the cops, right? Shoe size is men's 9 to 10 average. I thought the pants were found behind Annie's house. If the pants were found behind Annie's house, perhaps I'm wrong. That would be even more strange to me. But Annie in front, T in the back, working as a team. Perhaps. I don't believe any of those ransom notes were real, not one. I'm with you. I'm with you. Take your picture. Did the family mention if Nancy's pajamas were short or long sleeved? They said they had no idea what she was wearing. That's what they said. And you know what? If even my wife, if they said, Tommy was abducted, what do you think he was wearing, for sleep clothes? There's a lot of crap I sleep in. It's not that, that would be a tough thing if you didn't live with the person, I think, right? You could say, yeah, I can think of about 5 or 6 things mom sleeps in, but to go in there and try to find what's missing or whatever, she did live alone. I think that would be tough. All right, people, we're getting to that hour and a half mark, and I appreciate the hell out of all of you being here. Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Make sure you also do it for Chase the Heat.
Thank you.
That's my brother, the Johnny Scoville. Looks a hell of a lot like me if you've never seen him. And get over there and do it for Relatable Reese. That would be my wife's channel. And if she doesn't make you laugh, I'll refund your money. At least Harvey Levin has stopped sending himself letters. Yeah, I am not at all surprised if he did that. Yeah, they were behind Annie's house. Yeah, then I give 5 times less of a shit. I'm sorry, I don't. Like that. Why is this not a big deal? Seems like no one is taking it seriously. Tell me how it evidentiary. I mean, why is it a big deal? I'm not trying to be a dick. I really am not. But washes, there's a bunch of stuff that if you've ever walked in a wash in Tucson, Arizona, you will find unbelievable amounts of stuff that are just sort of discarded or washed down from way up above. There's a reason that they call them washes. And I don't know. Even if they're hers, right? Were they covered in blood? You could send them off and they could go, yeah, they belong to her. So she went home with no clothing on, or when they did snatch her out of that house, they brought her back over there. You understand what I'm saying? Like it doesn't seem like a smoking gun to me. If they were covered in blood, if there was something that made you go, oh man, a crime committed. For all we know, she gave them to Annie and Annie said, I can't fit in these things and tossed them, right? Or maybe they were on a clothesline because people use them there. And it blew away. If you've ever been there during the monsoons, it will pick up your picnic table and dump it in the wash, right? Am I lying?
500-pound pergola.
We had a pergola that was like 700 pounds. And they said to us, you don't need to bolt that down. It's 700 pounds. So we put more stuff onto it, screwed stuff into it. It got probably up around 1,000. First time we had a monsoon, it picked it up and threw it in the pool, like quickly. The weather there gets absolutely incredible. Only half of you have hit the like button. That's it. I'm out of here. You have offended me for the last time. Well, you'll offend me again tomorrow night, but you know what I'm saying. All right, people, I'm Tommy. We're going to keep doing this. I'm not going to let this case go away. It's not going to be the only thing we cover. If you want to talk about the general that is missing, this would be the guy that worked on UFO stuff. come here tomorrow night because that's what I'm going to be covering, unless something wild happens in this. Sleuth's intuition was boots on the ground yesterday and found a whole apartment in a tunnel. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It gets pretty wild. It really, really does. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor and make sure that you pray for this family. They absolutely need it. And then get over there and hit subscribe at my wife's channel, Relatable Reese. If you like my content, you're going to love hers. She's just like me, except a lot less obnoxious. All right? And get over there and hit subscribe at Chase the Heat. That's Johnny Scoville's channel. And for the love of God, I promise you, this had nothing to do with the Epstein case. Smack that like button on the way out. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.